So what's a little dandruff?
Okay, big brother, imagine you're at the social event of the year and your dream girl says hello, just as you do this. Her first impression, what a hunk, and only a few flakes.
Give me a break.
The breaks are you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
So?
So ordinary shampoos won't fix your problem. Try this.
Head and Shoulders. You don't have dandruff.
Ta-da!
Head and Shoulders, because you never get a second chance to make a first impression.
Many a tear has to fall.
Step into a world of timeless romance.
In the game, said someday you'll find
Melodies that will stay with you forever and ever. Take yourself halfway to paradise. 50 unforgettable romantic hits of the 50s and 60s.
it's true. Every time
Songs that have captured the hearts of generations.
I die a little when the girl in your arms is the girl in your heart. I'm sorry now.
Classic music born from a magical era.
I'm sorry now. Oh, yeah, yeah. Love you more than I can.
Including Nat King Cole, Gladys Knight and the Pips, Gene Pitney and Billy Fury. You'll want to hear these songs again and again. This exclusive collection is brought together on 4 individual albums for just $21.99, or 3 long-play cassettes for only $19.99, or on 3 compact discs for $24.99. To get your copy, call us now on this number.
Let there be you.
Shops.
Churchill could save you money on your car insurance. Call one of our people now and see how much you could save. You'll be surprised. Call Churchill free on 0800 200 300 for an instant quote, even instant colour. Right?
That's right. Free on 0800 200 300.
Call Churchill now and see how much you could save. Free on 0800 200 300.
Isn't camping fun?
The field's empty.
The Devon cows are gone. Stolen. No milk.
No ambrosia, Devon custard!
Missing cows, cunningly camouflaged as bushes, eh? Time for a reward.
Spiffing tea, Mrs. Chief Constable.
Toast, chicken drumsticks, pudding, and...
Lashings and ambrosia, Devon custard.
The film tomorrow afternoon at 2 is the musical Sweet Rosie O'Grady and stars Betty Grable.
A restaurant during hours.
On the train, going from London to Bristol.
How would you like to be seduced? This week, Oprah has some enticing ideas.
For her, I wear her pinky slippers. The most comfortable slipper you could possibly wear.
Well, do you find it's the way they walk, or even the way they talk?
I really don't know.
Or is it something a little more obvious? Oh, the gentle art of seduction, tonight at 11 on 4.
Oh, it gets better, believe me.
After the break, Florina, the story of a little girl who lives in the Swiss mountains and the love she has for her pets.
Has this ever happened to you? What a mess. How about this? It doesn't wear as well as it tastes. That dress shirt and expensive silk blouse have had it, or have they? Now, there's a way to deal with the most difficult stains quickly, safely, and thoroughly. DD7. DD7 is a super concentrated formula that removes stains and is kinder to fabrics. Now where's the ink? Even this delicate silk blouse comes incredibly clean. And that's not all. Tar, iodine, blood, rust. DD7 gets rid of them all. Are your net curtains dull and grey? A quick soak in diluted DD7 restores them to a like-new white. DD7 is a whiz on carpets, even upholstery. Think of the money you'll save. We've stained these hands with ink, iodine and car grease. Just watch. DD7 and a little water instantly removes the stain, even from under the fingernails. And there's more. Imagine this is your washing machine. A red sock gets in with the whites. Everything turns pink. Ink from a broken marker pen. Even iodine. A little multi-purpose DD7 in the final rinse, and it's goodbye to all those awkward stains forever. Order your tube of DD7 today for just $6.95, or we'll double your order for only £3 more. That's 2 tubes for only $9.95. Enough to replace all of these cleaners at a fraction of the price. If DD7 doesn't work this quickly and easily for you, simply return the unused portion for a refund. For holders of these credit cards, call 0726 68000. That's 0726 68000. Or make your cheque or postal order for $8.95 for 1 tube or $11.95 for 2 tubes, payable to DD7, and send it to us at DD7 at Mail 54, Plymouth PL1 2YD. And remember, if lines are busy, call later, but do call.
Step into a world of timeless romance with songs that have captured the hearts of generations. Take yourself halfway to paradise. 50 unforgettable romantic hits of the 50s and 60s.
When the girl in your arms is the girl in your heart.
Classic music born from a magical era.
Keeping my soul and my senses apart.
This very special collection of 50 songs is not available in the shops. Halfway to Paradise is brought together on 4 individual albums for just $21.99, 3 long play cassettes for only $19.99, or on 3 compact discs for $24.99. Halfway to Paradise, songs you'll want to hear again and again.
New Pal Partners Light. Just one look tells you its meaty chunks and carrots will keep your dog and you partners for life.
9 out of 10 people still aren't eating enough fiber. So, it's worth knowing there's the same amount of fiber in 8 bowls of nutritious brown rice as in just a single bowl of Kellogg's All Bran. Kellogg's All Bran, a great fiber provider.
In 15 minutes, Third Wave visits Sun City, a custom-built town for retired but active adults. Before that, it's off to the Swiss mountains, where Florina lives.
In Free for All, a survivor of the Marchioness disaster speaks out.
A little over a week ago in the House of Commons, a bill that could possibly save your life failed.
This smacks and smells of the witch hunt as it used to be.
And why a high priestess is angry with Geoffrey Dickens MP. Free for All, tomorrow night at 9:30 on Channel 4.
In Third Wave, the American dream has come true in Arizona for the over 55s, with a custom-built town for the retired. Discover the Sun City experience next.
Go!
Damn it, Fraser.
And Jean Tierney also stars in The Return of Frank James, Sunday afternoon's film at 2. Before that, in tomorrow's matinee at 1, Robert Donat opens the extraordinary magic box to reveal a host of theatrical luminaries, knights and dames.
The Caribbean island of Dominica, home to 3 girls growing up with their innocent dreams and nightmares. As three women, they return, sisters of a shared childhood but different destinies.
People are poor. People are ill. We need to work together to change all of this.
If I can make myself brave and strong, I'm sure Father can too. He was a soldier, and he's still a man after all.
You and Stella won't allow yourself to be happy. You agonize. Stella tears herself apart loving people. But where would everyone be without my money?
With Diana Quick and Nigel Terry as the parents, Kate Buffery, Frances Barber and Elizabeth Hurley the daughters, in the four-part drama The Orchid House, starting next Thursday at 8:30 on Channel 4.
I'm going to spend.
Winning Fortunes, Monday's Cutting Edge at 9 on Channel 4.
Well, hoping to continue his winning streak is the new champion of Countdown in 10 minutes. First, in place of the published animation, a special Channel 4 news bulletin.
Good afternoon. 3 hours after Iraq announced a new peace initiative, President Bush dismissed it as a cruel hoax. He said Baghdad has actually introduced new demands in exchange for its withdrawal from Kuwait. Here, the Prime Minister, John Major, called the offer a bogus sham. Kuwait itself has also rejected the proposal. Israel called it a sign of weakness. But the Soviet Union and Jordan welcomed the offer. Iran said it was a step forwards towards peace. In Saudi Arabia, Allied commanders say the military campaign continues as before. At 11:30 this morning, Baghdad Radio issued the following statement. The Revolutionary Command Council has announced Iraq's decision to deal with United Nations Security Council Resolution number 660, with the aim of reaching an honorable and acceptable solution, including withdrawal. United Nations Resolution 660, issued on the day of the invasion of Kuwait, demanded that Iraq withdraw immediately and unconditionally all its forces to the positions in which they were located on the 1st of August 1990, and calls upon Iraq and Kuwait to begin immediately intensive negotiations for the resolution of their differences. But it soon became clear that Iraq was not offering unconditional withdrawal. In addition to an immediate ceasefire and an end to all economic sanctions, the ruling Revolutionary Council demanded the withdrawal of all coalition forces from the region within a month, Israel's withdrawal from the occupied territories, a say in the formation of a democratic government in Kuwait, and payment of reparations to Iraq. Well, initial optimism, shared even by President Bush himself, rapidly turned to skepticism as Iraq's list of conditions emerged. The president called on the Iraqi people to take matters into their own hands and end the war by forcing Saddam Hussein out of power. Jane Bennett-Powell reports on Allied responses to Iraq's announcement.
The Americans took 2 hours to respond to the Iraqi offer, and when it did come, the response was terse.
The United Nations Security Council resolutions are clear in their insistence that the withdrawal be complete and unconditional. Promises alone are not sufficient. There must be not only agreement to comply with all United Nations Security Council resolutions, but also immediate and concrete actions on the ground.
The American president was prepared to add a little more. He said the Iraqi offer produced nothing new other than a recognition that Iraq should withdraw from Kuwait.
Regrettably, the Iraq statement now appears to be a cruel hoax, dashing the hopes of the people in Iraq and indeed around the world. But there's another way for the bloodshed to stop, and that is for the Iraqi military and the Iraqi people to take matters into their own hands, to force Saddam Hussein, the dictator, to step aside and to comply with the United Nations resolutions and then rejoin the family of peace-loving nations.
If so-called coalition or the United States will accept this offer, then a good step towards peace to be achieved. If they will not accept it, that means they are after the destruction, not of Iraq only, but the whole region, And then, of course, the ground battle will continue, then more death, more destruction, and more massacres, and more disasters in the region.
A defiant message from Iraq's most senior voice in Europe. Meanwhile, one Israeli response, the Iraqis were desperate.
Finally, the news is beginning to reach the bunker of Mr. Saddam Hussein, and he begins to understand this is a lost case. Foolishly enough, he's asking now for an award for his aggression and for his mistakes.
The British Prime Minister gave a cautious response.
If Iraq were now to withdraw decisively and irreversibly from Kuwait and comply fully with the United Nations resolutions without conditions, then that would clearly be very good news for everyone. But I must emphasize, we cannot yet be clear that that is the position, and we shall need early evidence of withdrawal. We have none of that yet. All we have is very early reports of a decision.
The tenor of that reaction was echoed by European partners in Paris and Bonn. All this happened just as preparations for the land war were coming to a head and diplomatic activity initiated by the Soviet Union coming to a climax. The Iraqi foreign minister was due to travel again to Moscow on Sunday, preceded by the Iranian foreign minister today and 3 EC ministers tomorrow. It's not known how much responsibility the Soviets bear in today's announcement. Speaking in Japan this morning, the Soviet envoy Yevgeny Primakov said he had detected a small hope for peace after his visits to Iraq and Iran, but wouldn't explain the basis of his optimism.
Jane Bennett-Powell reporting in the Saudi capital of Riyadh. The United States military spokesman said the Allied mission remained unchanged to eject Iraqi forces from Kuwait. Brigadier General Richard Neal said if the Iraqi army wished to withdraw, there was nothing to prevent them doing so. This report from Anne Perkins in London.
In Riyadh, the afternoon briefings were delayed until President Bush had spoken. But once the Americans had heard from the White House, they came out with an uncompromising message.
I think the President made it abundantly clear that our mission remains the same and that the United States forces and the coalition forces will continue to execute our mission of attempting to eject Iraq forces from Kuwait.
On day 30 of the war, formidable forces are now drawn up to achieve that end. The Allies have more than 600,000 troops massed in north and eastern Saudi Arabia. Across the border in Kuwait lie 520,000 Iraqi soldiers, the majority mostly conscripts based on the border. But in the north and in southern Iraq lie around 120,000 of the elite Republican Guard. Heavy Allied bombing has reduced Iraq's firepower, but they still remain a fearsome threat. Latest figures suggest that the Allies have around 3,400 tanks to Iraq's 2,900. But Iraq still has 2,100 artillery pieces to the Allies' 1,000, and Iraq has 2,000 armoured personnel carriers against 3,650 on the Allied side. The Allies claim air supremacy with around 1,800 planes based in the region. They also have an enormous naval presence in the northern Gulf. General Neal clearly believes the Iraqi proposal is an indication of the success of the campaign. We've got him between a rock and a hard place, he said.
I think the numbers kind of speak for themselves. We've jumped from 7 all the way up to 1,300 in armor alone, and those are destroyed. So I think the numbers are starting to speak for themselves, and as somebody said a while back, we've only just begun.
In the Kuwaiti Information Office in Riyadh, the news from Iraq was initially greeted with joy, but also skepticism.
I couldn't believe it. I'm not believing it till now. I think he's lying to us again. I won't believe it till I see it in my own eyes.
But the Americans pointed out at least Kuwait was mentioned by name.
The term Kuwait has not been in the lexicon of the Iraqi leadership for some time. It's as if 1.7 million people disappeared off the face of the earth and that a government no longer existed. So I think that's encouraging. So if it's as a result of our campaign, whether it be the air campaign or just the arrayed forces against him have made that significant step, I think that's great.
That report from Anne Perkins. Well, we're joined now by our diplomatic editor, Nick Gowing. Nick, I guess the most important aspect of this is the timing of this pronouncement from Baghdad.
I think it was very carefully calculated and very cunningly aimed, in fact. Today is the day of a new moon,
We are at the start of the options opening for a ground offensive. A ground offensive is clearly imminent and inevitable. And I think what you have to do is not look at the fact that the Americans and the British have rejected this. You have to look at who else Iraq is now trying to appeal to apart from the US and Britain. You've got all the diplomatic activity which is about to happen this weekend in Moscow. You've got the problems after the bombing of the bunker in Iraq, in the Arab world. You've got clearly fundamentalist Arab opinion, which is getting very inflamed by what's happening. You also have the problem which Saddam Hussein is clearly trying to address. He's trying to find some way of stopping the ground offensive. And I would suggest that he's trying to weaken the White House's position, because if the Allies decide to go in for a ground offensive, then Saddam Hussein can turn around and say, look, I offered a ceasefire and a withdrawal, and all these conditions which have been put today will be forgotten. Therefore, I think you have to see that what he's trying to do, he's trying to get at those people who are all...
See you in the new year with the greatest rock and roll band in the world. Rolling Stones in concert, New Year's Eve, 10:55 on 2.
Here on 2 now we unveil a season of classic films from the remarkable palette of Alfred Hitchcock. Cary Grant, Ingrid Bergman and Claude Rains are caught up in a web of sexual and political subterfuge in Notorious. We have another Hitchcock classic tomorrow evening when Joan Fontaine finds her newly wedded bliss tainted by suspicions of a hidden, sinister side to husband Cary Grant.
Capable, adoring wife of leading psychiatrist Richard Conte.
Sprays will change the way you wash your face forever.
Well, I've been using soap and water sort of all my life. I don't really see that there's much of an alternative.
Use Ulay's new foaming beauty wash for 5 days instead of soap and surprise yourself.
After rinsing, my skin feels soft, not dry like soap conditioner.